Reddit, what's a weird habit you had as a kid that you thought everyone did? Okay, so for years, I genuinely thought everyone ate toothpaste. Not a little bit, but like a significant dollop from the tube every time I brushed. It just tasted so good, especially the mini gel ones. I'd carefully scrape it off the brush with my tongue after my teeth felt clean. My mom would always comment on how quickly we ran out of toothpaste. It wasn't until a sleepover in middle school, when my friend looked at me in utter disgust, that I realized most people just spit it out. The sheer horror on his face was a wake-up call. I used to think everyone had a mental save point for moments they really loved. Like if I was having an amazing day at the beach, or just giggling uncontrollably with my best friend, I'd consciously press an imaginary button in my head to save that feeling. The idea was that later, when I was sad or bored, I could load that save moment and relive the happiness. I honestly thought it was a common coping mechanism until I tried to explain it to my therapist in college. She just blinked at me. My big thing was walking on tiptoes. Everywhere. At home, in the store, on the playground. I just assumed it was the correct way to walk, like everyone was trying to be quiet or stealthy. It felt more efficient, somehow. My parents kept trying to get me to walk normally, but I couldn't understand why they were making such a fuss. It wasn't until PE in elementary school, when the teacher kept correcting my gait, that I looked around and realized literally no one else was doing it. I still revert to it when I'm deep in thought. I used to play this weird secret game, where I'd pick one random person in a room, usually an adult, and try to subtly mimic their movements or facial expressions without them noticing. If they crossed their legs, I'd cross mine a few seconds later. If they scratched their nose, I'd do it too, trying to make it look natural. I called it mirroring the master. I genuinely thought it was a common, fun, silent way kids occupied themselves, like a form of secret empathy training. The moment I mentioned it to my older cousin, he stared at me like I was a cult member. When I was little, I was convinced that the best part of any food was its shell or crust. I meticulously peel the skin off apples and eat only that, leaving the flesh. Same with toast. I'd eat the crusts and discard the soft middle. Or with pizza, only the outer edge. I thought everyone did this, saving the boring parts for last, or for others. It drove my parents nuts, because it looked like I was wasting food. It wasn't until a friend came over and saw my half-eaten apple graveyard that they asked, "Dude, are you okay?" Here's a gross one. I truly believe that you could just wash clothes by swirling them around in the sink with some hand soap. If a shirt got dirty, I'd take it off, run it under the tap, add some foaming hand soap, swish it around a bit, wring it out, and hang it to dry. I thought this was just how you did small loads or spot cleaning. My mom would periodically discover a damp, vaguely soap-scented shirt in my closet and be utterly baffled. It wasn't until I was 10 and tried to wash my gym uniform this way that my older brother had an intervention about washing machines. Everyone knows the don't step on the cracks game, right? Well, for me, it wasn't a game. It was a deadly serious, high-stakes mission. Every single crack in the sidewalk was a gaping maw of lava, and stepping on it meant instant, fiery demise. I thought every kid shared this intense, unspoken agreement. I planned my routes carefully, taking huge leaps and elaborate detours, silently judging other kids for carelessly strolling over the molten chasms. It felt like I was the only one truly committed to survival. The look on my friend's face when I screamed at him for walking into the lava was priceless. I honestly believe that all inanimate objects, especially cars and houses, had distinct personalities and moods. When we drove past a house with broken windows, I'd feel sad for it, thinking it was lonely or sick. A car with a dent was grumpy. I'd wave to happy houses and apologize to sad ones. I thought everyone quietly acknowledged this secret world of sentient objects. It was a fundamental part of how I understood my surroundings. My parents just thought I was overly imaginative until I tried to explain why the old shed down the street was clearly having a bad day and needed a hug. Okay, so for years, I genuinely thought everyone had their own personal internal soundtrack. Like the world was a movie and we all just heard our own unique background music. Dramatic swells for big moments, suspenseful strings when sneaking to the fridge, Johnny tunes for walks. I'd silently hum along. One day in high school, during a particularly quiet lunch, I asked my friend what song was playing in her head. She just looked at me like I'd grown a second head. My entire musical reality shattered right there. I was absolutely convinced that all squirrels were government spies. Every twitch of their tail, every hurried dash up a tree, it was all intel gathering and transmission. I'd give them knowing nods and subtle hand gestures, trying to convey, "I'm on your side," messages while walking past them in the park. My mom caught me once, making elaborate, serious hand signs at a particularly busy squirrel, and just sighed. Turns out, squirrels are just squirrels, not furry espionage agents. Who knew? Before eating anything, I'd take a deep breath like I was tasting the air directly above the food. I thought it was how everyone prejudged the flavor, temperature, and overall appeal. Like a built-in sensory pre-check system. If the air around my cereal didn't smell cold enough, I'd wait for a bit. My aunt caught me doing it once before Christmas dinner and asked if I was sniffing out poison. Nope, just ensuring peak culinary experience. She laughed for 5 minutes straight. Closing a door wasn't just closing it. It was a whole ritual. I had to push it shut with precisely the right amount of force, so it clicked perfectly once, and then give it a little affirming pat. If it didn't click right, or if I missed the pat, I'd open it and try again. I was 10, staying at a friend's house, and her mom walked in on me opening and closing the bathroom door 3 times. She asked, "Everything all right in there, honey?" I just mumbled, "Perfect." Mortifying. I used to secretly rank every stranger I saw in public based on totally arbitrary criteria. Not by attractiveness or anything mean, but things like best hair tie placement, most confident walker, or master of carrying multiple bags. I'd assign points and track my leaders during shopping trips. One day, I accidentally whispered, 10 points for impressive stroller navigation, a bit too loudly at the grocery store. The woman chuckled, but my dad just quickly steered the cart away, giving me a very pointed look. I truly believed I could stop time. My method? If I held my breath, I'd pause the universe for a split second. The trick was to not blink and be perfectly, absolutely still. I do it constantly, especially during boring car rides or dentist appointments, just to feel like I had control. I told my cousin about my superpower once, demonstrating in the middle of a family picnic. He just held his breath back, giggled, and said, "Now what?" My universe didn't freeze. My ego, however, did. This is a weird one, but I genuinely thought everyone tried to sneeze with their eyes open. I'd been told it was impossible, which only fueled my childlike determination. Every time a sneeze built up, I'd focus, wide-eyed, trying to defy physics. I figured it was a universal secret challenge. One time, mid-sneeze attempt, I accidentally farted really loudly in a quiet library. My eyes were still squeezed shut. The librarian just stared. Apparently, trying to keep your eyes open doesn't work, and other bodily functions will betray you. My entire understanding of money was based on bubblegum. Anything I wanted, whether it was a toy, a snack, or even a trip to the zoo, I'd mentally convert its price into how many packs of bubblegum is that. A $5 toy was 10 packs of bubblegum. A $20 game was 40 packs. It was my secret, robust economic system. I remember asking my mom if she had enough bubblegum to buy the new video game console. She looked so confused, then had to explain how dollars actually worked. My childhood financial empire crumbled that day. My parents must have just thought I was a particularly destructive child. Every single morning, without fail, I would carefully open the cereal box and, before pouring, reach in and absolutely pulverize the contents. My logic? It made the flakes absorb milk better and taste significantly crunchier. It wasn't a phase. This was my immutable law of breakfast. I vividly remember being at a sleepover, watching my friend innocently pour whole, intact Cheerios into his bowl and being utterly baffled. Like, how could he eat them like that? When my Game Boy batteries died, I had a foolproof method for getting a few more minutes out of it. I'd grab another electronic device, any device, the TV remote, a cordless phone, and rub them together vigorously like a kid trying to start a fire with sticks. I genuinely believed I was transferring power. This wasn't some desperate last resort. It was just how you recharged low electronics in my mind. The real kicker? Sometimes it worked. Or, more accurately, the screen just flickered back to life from a dying battery. Took me until high school to figure out battery logic. Every morning, the moment I woke up, I had to immediately tell my dreams to my pillow. Not just think about them, but audibly whisper the entire plot, characters, and emotions into the fabric. I was convinced if I didn't do this, the dreams would simply evaporate from my memory, gone forever. It was a vital step in filing them away for future reference. My mom would sometimes peek in and ask who I was talking to, and I'd just say my dreams like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Still kind of feel weird if I don't recall one right away. Okay, this is embarrassing. For years, every time I got in the car or even just walked somewhere, I'd spend a minute mentally constructing an invisible force field around myself and my family members. I'd visualize shimmering, protective energy domes deflecting all possible harm. Stray baseballs, bad drivers, even mosquitoes. I genuinely thought everyone did this as a basic safety precaution. It was an elaborate, internal magic system. I tried to teach my younger brother how to manifest a shield once, and he looked at me like I'd just grown another head. That's when the penny dropped. This is a weird one. Whenever I saw a car with just one headlight out, I had to discreetly say wink, wink out loud. If I didn't, I was convinced something bad would happen, like my pet hamster would get sick or I'd fail a test. It was an unspoken, universal rule of the road, in my opinion, a silent pact with the universe. I'd often be walking with my parents, suddenly whisper wink wink, and they just shrug it off as kid eccentricity. I still occasionally catch myself doing it, even now when I spot a car with a missing headlight. My internal vocabulary system was elaborate. Whenever I heard a new or particularly interesting word, like ubiquitous or cacophony, I'd mentally stored in a specific, imagined cubbyhole in my brain. Each cubbyhole had a label. I believed I was actively building a physical, internal dictionary that would eventually make me super smart. If I forgot where I filed a word, I felt a genuine sense of panic. Imagine my surprise when I learned dictionaries were, just books, and actual learning was how words stuck. My entire childhood was apparently governed by my left foot. Whenever I entered a room, or took the first step up or down a staircase, it had to be with my left foot. It wasn't a choice. It was a fundamental law of physics. If I accidentally led with my right, I'd have to discreetly reset by taking a small hop or awkward shuffle to ensure the left foot landed first. I was certain this prevented bad luck, stub toes, or even more serious catastrophes. I still occasionally catch myself doing a little skip if I start a new path incorrectly. Before turning on the shower, I would stand there, staring intently at the shower head, and mentally filter the water. I'd imagine all the dirty, old water being pushed out, leaving only fresh, sparkling, clean water to come through. It was like I was performing a magical purification ritual every time. My parents would often knock on the bathroom door asking if I was okay, because I'd just be silently concentrating on the shower head for a solid minute. I genuinely thought everyone did this crucial step before bathing, ensuring optimal cleanliness. My weirdest habit? I thought everyone charged their feet before doing anything that required speed. Before any run, even just across the living room or chasing my dog, I'd stop, wriggle my toes vigorously, flexing my ankles up and down a few times. I genuinely believed it was like plugging them into a socket, giving them a burst of quickness. It made me feel invincible. Then a classmate asked why I was doing the wiggle dance before dodgeball. My secret superpower was just me looking like a spaz. Still missed that delusion. Breakfast was a military operation for me, specifically cereal. I'd pour my Cheerios, then assign each one a job. There were the scouts that went in first to test the milk, the builders forming walls around the bowl, and the special leaders that I'd eat last. The milk was always the river. I assumed everyone had a complex, internal narrative unfolding with their breakfast. Explaining why I couldn't just eat the damn cereal, to my bewildered mom, was an experience. The chaos of eating a mixed bowl still gives me anxiety. For years, I genuinely believed I was a secret traffic light wizard. Whenever we approached a red light, I would intensely concentrate, clench my fists, and imagine a green wave rushing from my hands to the light. If it changed, I was convinced I'd done it. I'd always whisper, "You're welcome," to my unsuspecting parents. The day my dad said, perfect timing with that light, son," I almost burst with pride. Finding out it was just a timer and good driving was a massive letdown. My power's gone. Every family has a thing, right? For mine, it was the designated drinking cup. I had my cup. It was blue, with a chipped rim, and no one else was allowed to use it. I thought every household assigned specific, non-negotiable cups to each member from birth. Using someone else's? Unthinkable, a sacred taboo. I tried to explain this sacred tradition to a friend at his house, pointing out his dad cup and sister cup. He just looked at me like I'd grown a second head, then grabbed a random mug. My entire world shattered. I had a bizarre ritual for crossing doorways. Every time I stepped over a threshold, be it into another room, out of the house, or even just into the bathroom, I had to take a tiny, almost imperceptible hop, like clearing an invisible obstacle, and whisper a specific, made-up nonsense word under my breath. I thought it reset the space, clearing it of bad vibes, and assumed everyone did their own version. I was 14 when I asked my brother what his doorway word was. He just scoffed. "What are you even talking about?" Okay, this is probably why I never stop apologizing to my furniture. As a kid, I truly believed every single inanimate object, from my teddy bear to the toaster to the stop sign on our street, had feelings and could understand me. I'd whisper secrets to my lamp and say "excuse me" to chairs if I bumped them. I figured everyone did it, just quietly. One time, my mom found me trying to console our broken vacuum cleaner about its pain. She just blinked. It's still hard to throw things away without feeling a pang of guilt.